Talk and listen like you mean it. Hello everybody. Hello my darling.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fabulous.
Of course you are.
I'm on fire.
There you go. Everybody welcome. We are on Signposts for Living with Dr. Kirsten Hunter, and this is my gorgeous Kristen Coggan.
How are you?
I'm good. So you don't know what we're talking about today.
No.
Right, of course.
Well, I did hear you just say it.
You did.
But I don't really know what you're talking about.
Yes. Well, see, my darling, you're a fantastic communicator.
Am I really?
Oh, yes. Well, you're very bright. You've got a lot of heart and a lot of head. And you've got a wicked sense of humour. And you're great at telling a yarn, telling a story.
Can do that.
But you and I, we've never had any problems to talk through and have a deep D&M. Actually, we know we have, haven't we? We've talked about a lot of things. But nothing, we haven't had conflict. So
No.
I haven't seen you in the world of conflict before. So
It's not pretty.
Really? What do you do?
I swear.
Do you swear?
I'm growing up though and trying to get mature and trying to stop swearing when I get a little bit antsy.
Well, you're not alone, are you?
No.
No.
But yeah, that's my... And so then I start tripping over myself because I'm trying not to swear.
What does tripping over?
I like tripping over my own words.
Yeah. What do you think are the main things we do wrong when we're trying to communicate? Now, obviously, if things are... if we don't have a point of conflict, communication's quite easy, usually, says she trying to communicate. What do you think? What do you think are some of the things people do wrong? That's an interesting topic, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
I know that I struggle if I'm trying to articulate something that I'm not 100% sure of.
As in what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what
I'm
the issue is?
thinking.
Yeah.
Like perhaps I'm in a work scenario and I know what I want to say, but I'm not quite sure how to say it. So that my brain starts thinking, see, now you're going to discover that I'm not really that good a communicator. My brain starts moving faster than my mouth, I guess.
Wow, what happened?
And,
it's not good.
yeah, no, I just don't get out what I really want to say.
Yeah, and then you get more flustered and frustrated and that doesn't go well.
No, so I have to concentrate really hard to calm that down and not do that.
I've noticed when people don't communicate well, they might come in with a bit of a hammer approach, come in a bit kind of angry and furious, and then the other person's walls go up.
Yep.
So you're dealing with the other person's defences, and they go into threat mode, so, their thinking brain's not great. I've noticed when people don't feel heard that they repeat the issue over and over and over.
Yes.
So kind of nagging, and that just shuts the other person down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think another big one is when people are so consumed by their own issues, they can't listen. And so they're not listening to the person's response, and they're just thinking about what they'll say next.
Yes.
You've noticed that one?
Yes, and I used to do that.
I think everyone used to do everything,
but
right?
I really endeavour not to do that now.
Absolutely. And also I think a lot of people communicate where they might have their own issues triggered and they don't know that, and they kind of they're presuming a lot. They're presuming the other person meant this.
That does my head in when people presume they know what I'm about to say.
Oh, yes.
My kids do it a lot.
Do they? or if you might say something and the other person's, are you saying that I'm saying this? And you're like, no, not actually. But
calm your farm. That's not what I'm saying.
They're off, and they're determined that you actually meant that. You meant that insult, or you meant that kind of, to imply something. And the other person, so no one knows what anyone's saying. It's all just a big storm of, I was about to swear, but yes. Okay, why is communication important? Do you feel like you're back at school?
Yes, I do. Well, where would we be without it? The world wouldn't be turning.
No. People need to understand each other. They need to find a common understanding and a common plan and check in and yeah, absolutely. So, it sounds boring, but it's really not. I mean, if we don't know how to communicate, we're really not going to get anything done, and we're not going to be able to fix problems. We're not going to build relationships. Communication is absolutely 101, isn't it?
And it's more than just your words.
Oh my gosh. Yes. They say 75%, something like that, is non-verbal. Is that where you're going?
Yes, that's where I'm going. And that's what worries me, because everybody texts now or emails, and so you're missing out on the nuances of the conversation, which can change the understanding of it completely.
Oh, yeah. You say something in sarcasm, they take it literally.
So I'm like really heavy on the emojis, trying to make sure people don't take it the wrong way.
You know, sometimes I write ha ha ha, and I'm like, oh, I'm such a dag.
Yeah, you are.
Thank you. Well, I'll go back to the emojis to keep you happy, darling.
But yes, and some people are better at it than others.
Yep.
So my husband, when he texts, he has okay. I think if he's on a good day, we can get a thumbs up.
Well, he's playing it safe.
Yes, he's very safe. Yes.
But, you know, a lot of people can have workplace breakdown over communication. They can obviously have a lot of family issues, relationship issues, friendship issues, everything. Everything communication. It really is just, you know, how did two monkeys get together on a branch? Like, it's really basic stuff.
Yes.
Now, here's the thing. I think if everyone could get this right, we would just you know, evolve quickly as a species. When we communicate, people are all about themselves, right?
Yep.
What am I thinking? What's my issue? What do I want you to understand about me?
Yes.
We need to turn that around, and our communication needs to be to understand the other person and to be an expert on them and to draw out of them their perspective, their needs, their understanding. We already know what we think. So we need to become an expert on the other person and use words to create that.
Yes.
Meanwhile, hopefully they're going to be doing that towards us. And then we're an expert on each other. And until you can be an expert on each other, how the hell are you going to address the issue?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So I really think that's called perspective taking. So jumping into the other person's shoes and understanding what they're thinking and what they're feeling, and to a degree, what's their back history.
Yep.
Which, you know, personally I'm pretty, like that's where I go because I tend to want to understand people. But yeah, so communication. How do we create this revolution where everyone stops being about themselves and becomes highly motivated to be an expert on the other person, so that then you can create the bridge between you and understand and...
Well, how do you do that, Kirsten?
Now you have the answers, Kristen. Everybody, you're enjoying the Kristen, because we're still silly about that.
Yes.
Seriously, like how do you... I don't know.
It's like listening in a way that I'm going to say you've never done before, but you've got to listen in a different way to what is being said to you and try and understand. And this is where I think the nuances of the conversation come into. It's their body language, it's the look in their eyes, it's that sort of thing that conveys the depth of the conversation and the communication.
Yep, absolutely.
That's what I think.
No question whatsoever. And, you know, when we look at people who aren't great at body language, that we look at the people with autism spectrum, and, you know, notoriously, you know, they really struggle with checking out those nuances, looking at body language, eyes, tone of voice, and they will listen to words in a concrete way. And so I guess it's kind of, you know, they need a lot of scaffolding to figure that stuff out. So if you're neurotypical, and there's no excuse, like... Step up, sweethearts. No, but really, you've got to study the other person. That's the answer. Study the person. So I think, do you think it's, like, what's going on? Do you think it's people don't have the skills? Do you think that it's about the fact that they're hurting so much on something, so they're all about their own needs? Do you think it's about winning and it's a power issue? I mean, obviously it's all of the above, different situations.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating to learn how to handle the person who wants to win, or the person who wants to be assertive and on top of the conversation. Then it's a whole nother skill level to handle that person and get around them.
Okay, so to me that's just fun.
Yeah, okay, that's fun for you. That's exhausting for me.
Yeah, that's like a toy to play with for me. Someone who's trying to be powerful. But yeah, you're right. Normally they are very exhausting, and people don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a peculiar hobby.
Well, it takes patience, and you've got to be prepared to be open to someone who might be taking you up a path you don't want to go.
Can I take you through when I've got a couple in
Sure.
here, or a family? Families, this happens as well. And I'm like, okay, we're going to do some communication skills 101. Okay. So,
You don't make them play silly games and stuff, do you?
no. And I never get people to role play.
Good.
I hate role playing. I just feel like a total idiot. Yeah, I'll be an idiot on my own. I'm perfectly comfortable with that. No, perspective taking, it's really interesting. So we have this issue, right? So you and I have a conflict.
Right.
So what we would do, we might be husband and wife and wife, husband and husband, family member, whatever. And here we are. And it is a case of we have this diagram, and I will say, I, Kirsten, think that Kristen is thinking this. And I will put out there what I think you're thinking. So perspective taking. And I will write that down. So I've got a diagram. And then you come in and say, this is how you're correct, and this is how you're not correct. Yeah? And then you have a turn and you say, I think Kirsten, we really need to change our names, don't we? K1 and K2. I think Kirsten, I think the other presenter is thinking this about the issue.
Yep.
And then you write it down, 1, 2, 3.
This is life-changing.
There you go. And then I come in and I say, this is correct, 1, 2, but number 3 is not correct, right? Let me clarify that. And so what we've done in our communication is neither of us has said anything about what we think.
Yep.
And what we have done is we have shown an interest in each other. So immediately we have goodwill. We have shown our awareness of each other, and that's very meaningful to hear that the other person has a clue. We've been able to clarify when we've got it wrong, and it's a safe place to be able to educate. And without either of us telling about ourselves, we have the situation on the table.
Yep.
So that's what we do. And then we've got the situation on the table, and then what I do coming in as a psychologist is I say, well, you know what? You guys don't realise, but you actually agree. And I find all the areas where they typically have a lot of agreement, and they haven't noticed, they haven't realised, because they're so consumed by the presumption that they're disagreeing, or the areas they disagree. And then, then we can actually talk it through. So that's what we do with perspective taking with people, trying to get them into each other's heads.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's fabulous.
It is pretty cool, hey? Lots of arrows.
I'm going to be using this tomorrow at work.
I can send it through to you, the nice little... At work? How are you going to use it at work?
I'm not saying, because they might be listening.
Watch out, everyone. Watch out. So, I think it'd be really great if we use this with our kids. And, we've got 2 siblings, and we'll say, well, what do we think, the other child's thinking? And we ask them, what do they think? And how do we find a middle ground? Or how do you find a way so that you can talk about your needs, but you're not stomping all over the other person? And it really is just a lot of care.
Yep.
I think that's another thing. If we're not caring, it's very hard to... It does presume caring, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. You've got to care to do this, otherwise you wouldn't do it.
That is true. That is true. And I guess if they're not caring, then we have to go back to the premise of what the problem is there, but with boundaries and protecting the person. So, okay, let's change this. Let's make it talk and listen like you mean it with safe people.
Okay.
There's a proviso. It's a really good point, actually.
Yes.
I have some clients who come in and they're in, controlling relationships, and they're not safe. They're not safe to put their needs or opinions out there, because the other person will just launch at them and annihilate them. And there isn't the presumption of, trying to constructively work it through. It is just completely about power. And so,
there has to be a want.
Yeah, it has to be someone who...
To do something for the betterment of...
Yeah. Fundamentally, you're in each other's corner. You're not actually opponents.
Yes.
Yeah, or one person trying to oppress the other. Yeah, I'm glad we got onto that. Yeah. So there you go. Should we teach this in schools?
Yes. Oh, this is, yes.
I know. Communication 101. What grade?
You could start this in prep.
Prep.
You could basic this right down and put this in their language and get them practicing this really early, I reckon.
I know.
Because there's lots of conflict in prep.
There is. And everyone from overseas. This is 5 and 6 year olds.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Lots of conflict.
Yeah.
So remember when I worked in a prep classroom and did behaviour management for 3 months years ago?
No, I don't remember that.
Oh.
We'll talk.
Prep
Okay,
would be
everyone.
great.
So what's really important here is that with perspective taking, if you are not an expert on the other person's thoughts and their emotional state, then you can't even start. And you need to interview the other person and ask them. You need to communicate and paraphrase to them your understanding of what they're thinking and what they're feeling. They need to do that back to you. If one person talks more than the other, one's over talker and one's less, have you ever heard of a talking stone?
Yes.
Great. What's a talking stone?
Well, I say talking stick. And
Stick,
if you've
stone,
got the stick, you're talking. If you don't,
pen.
you're not talking.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. It can be anything. Yeah, and so basically it's about having something visual so you realise if one person has it 90% of the time, we have a problem. And it's about being quiet while the other person has their talking stick, as you say.
I feel I'd be the one with the stick.
You might be. I'd
have to consciously hand the stick
you
over.
would notice that. You would notice it. You'd probably feel a bit
peak.
self-conscious and embarrassed at some point and you'd hand it over. And that's the point. It communicates that, doesn't
Yes.
it? It looks at the ratio.
Yes.
So we're trying to create a little bit more 50-50 kind of communication.
You know what we need to do? We don't need to do this.
What?
But everyone's in Zoom and team meetings at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to pull someone up who's on a roll.
Yeah. I don't have an answer.
Yeah, I know. But just think about that. That could be another podcast.
What we have
A
like
virtual
this virtual talking
stick program.
Oh, what about if there's like a timer and your screen shuts down?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, but I'd want to be the one on the button shutting people down. Goodbye.
That'd be great. Imagine it was 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, fantastic.
Anyway, that's silly. But
I should hope so.
yes.
Good to talk, darling.
Yes,
How
always
about
fun.
you?
Oh, yes.
Everyone, if you would like to subscribe, that would be great. I'm learning about these things. Yeah.
All right. So, Signpost for Living is a book series
Oh, it is.
that Kirsten has written.
It is.
There's 6 books. They're a set. You can get them on Amazon, on ebooks,
Kindle.
Kindle.
Basically every platform worldwide.
Yep.
So just look it up.
Yep, there's 6 books. Her webpage, which will tell you about the books, is kirstenhunterauthor.com.
Yep.
Her Facebook is Kirsten Hunter Author, as is her Instagram. And her Twitter handle is Kirsten Hunter AU. Her YouTube channel is Psych in Your Car. And this is the best bit, Signpost for Living with Dr. Kirsten
Here
Hunter,
we are. Yeah.
the podcast.
Well, till next time, darling. Thank you so much.
No problems. Thank you. I do enjoy it.
Go communicate.
Yes.
I think we are.
Yes.
See ya.
Bye.